Okay, got a question today from Matthew. Shout out Matthew. Matthew says, "Hey Dan, I just watched one of your videos about is Mexico dangerous, and I wanted to reach out and ask for some of your advice." This is probably the video I made called "Is Mexico Dangerous?" I ask Mexicans for the truth. That's one I made in Mexico City where I actually, I just asked the Mexicans directly, "Do you think your country is dangerous? What are your thoughts on this perception that some foreigners have?" Anyway, he goes on to say, "I'm originally from Texas, but I've moved up to Seattle this past year." Seattle, beautiful city. "I plan to stay for a year or two, but then I want to move somewhere outside of the States." Okay, understandable. I think a lot of people who watch this channel feel that way. Preferably with some Latin or Spanish influence. And lately I've been thinking a lot about moving to Mexico City. Nice. "My parents are originally from Mexico, and even though I lived very close to the border growing up, I've never been." Oh, that's interesting. It's like all the Americans who live close to the Canadian border but never actually make it. They're like, you know how many people I meet who are like, "Yeah, I live an hour from Canada. I've never been up there." It's like, why not check it out? Why not? Okay, so he says, "I've never been. I've always been told it's dangerous." There's that American mindset. Not your mindset. I mean, the people telling you it's dangerous. "But I would like to embrace my culture and experience something new. So I wanted to get your opinion on safety and if it's a reasonable idea for me to move to Mexico next. And if not, then do you have any suggestions for another Latin or Spanish country?" Okay. So Matthew, I could tell you about some other countries, but let's just leave that aside because any Spanish-speaking place you might want to go to, or frankly any place, period, is going to have a certain degree of danger. So, there's going to be some crazy drivers. There's going to be the chance that you meet the wrong person at a bar and then he pulls a knife on you or something. That's a possibility on any single place in this planet. That's a possibility, including the United States. In fact, if you look at the violent crime rates, I would say the US is near the top in virtually all the categories. And I'm not going to go dark and talk about the unfortunate tragedy which just hit Texas, but it's the U.S. has a gun problem, so there's no sugarcoating that. The U.S. has a violent crime problem. It has a gun problem. So in Mexico something could happen, but it's not like that isn't already a risk that you're facing. In Canada, in Toronto, there was just there was a kid who had a rifle who he got found by police before, but I don't know if he was trying to cause a police incident or. The point is, these things happen wherever you go. Now, to your point about is Mexico dangerous? Okay, not everyone might want to hear me say this because I'm Canadian, I'm not American, but in my view, the United States is one of the most heavily propagandized places in the world, at least in terms of the common narrative about other countries. The number of Americans I've heard who think Mexico is just horribly dangerous and it's not safe to step outside the beach resort, it's really troubling, actually. It gets to the point where I don't even bother correcting people. It's just you know what, if that's what you believe, then there's people who believe the earth is flat too. I'm not going to bring out my physics textbook and try to prove you wrong. If you're that deep off the deep end, it's believe what you want to believe. But in your case, Matthew, you mentioned, having grandparents from Mexico, having Mexican heritage yourself. So I think you should certainly explore Mexico City. And I think Mexico City in particular is an interesting place because it's like a meeting grounds for all of Mexico. So obviously Mexico is a very diverse country. There's a lot of different ethnic groups. People in southern Mexico, very different than northern Mexico, different than eastern and western coasts as well. But Mexico City is like the meeting point So you get all the different types of people, all the different types of food, huge variety of neighborhoods. And I mean, if you are really concerned about safety, stay somewhere like Roma or Condesa or Santa Fe, or Polanco, which is a very wealthy neighborhood. There's nice areas that are, I mean, like, listen, not to say that you're going to have trouble with more impoverished parts of the city either. You could be perfectly fine. It's just like it's like when you get in a swimming pool, you can start with the shallow end. Like, you can start with perhaps the easier parts of the city, which are more touristic and have more English speakers as well. Like, I don't know what your level of Spanish is, but there's places where you can get by without too much Spanish or even any Spanish. And then there's other areas, like if you just got on the Mexico City Metro and just got off at a random stop and started speaking English, like, good luck. You're going to really struggle. And there's certain areas that aren't going to be that safe. So that is the caveat to all of this. There are places where, actually, that's interesting, because if you do look like a Mexican, I mean, ethnically, you might actually have less issues getting in a random place. I still wouldn't recommend it. But like someone like me who stands out more visibly, if you are in a rough part of town, it's like a pickpocket would be like, hey, like, look at that guy, like, get him. Whereas if you just look like a random person in the city, they don't really know how out of place you are. Just unless you start speaking with a Texas accent, I guess. But no, man, like, Mexico City is an incredible city. It's a city of, like, it's like New York City. It's like a huge place. So you're going to hear about some bad things happening just because the numbers of people is so high that statistically there's a lot of happening in every single day. But I would certainly recommend you to give it a try. I think, yeah, man, I think it's a great idea, and you're not going to regret it. And if you do make it down there, you got to send a follow-up comment and let me know what you think, because I always like hearing people who, before they travel, but also after they travel, to see like how their views have changed. Finally, I'm going to give you a channel called Eat Baila Travel. I think it's like Eat Dance Travel. Yeah, so these are my buddies Kevin and Jenny. Check it out. And they are a Mexican-American couple from Chicago. And they also like moved to Mexico and have been sort of rediscovering their own heritage through their channel. And that journey of Mexican Americans going to Mexico and learning about the Mexican culture, I think, is fascinating. And I think, their channel might inspire you on your own journey. So Matthew, I hope that was helpful. And to anyone else out there who might have questions about traveling, moving to other countries, you can always leave me a comment, send me an email or whatever. And because it's nice to do these little sit down talks. I enjoy this. It makes me feel like, I'm engaging with the community and being a good YouTuber and all that stuff. And I could do more of these. All right, YouTube. Catch you next time. Have a great day.